Good morning, Mr. Thrasher. How are you?
I'm wonderful, and you?
Doing well, thank you. I wanted to just start off by saying thank you for agreeing to speak with me today. I know this was not on your original schedule, so I appreciate that. Unfortunately, with Ms. Shepard passing, I did need an additional mentor to step up, and you have always been somebody who I've valued your opinion and trust you to always be frank and professional at the same time, but call me out when I need to be called out and just continue to help me grow both professionally and personally. So just wanted to say thank you for agreeing to meet with me and stepping into this role.
Not a problem. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Well, I want to go ahead and just kind of briefly tell you kind of what this is about. So through my practicum, I've identified a couple of areas, action plans for me to work on. This particular one is going to be focusing on the standard of ethics, equity, and diversity for the principal. And so within that standard, it's about communicating productively with all audiences through strong communication skills and understanding how to communicate a message in different ways to meet the needs of various audiences. And so my goal and action plan was to develop a mentorship to communicate and reflect on personal communication skills. Thankfully, we have quite a professional history together and are still working together. So I do find that there's kind of a mutual respect there. But just wanted to hear from your perspective a little bit about our professional history and kind of where we are as colleagues now.
Okay, we started off probably about 5 years ago when you first came to Vivian Field, and we hit it off immediately, developing a very good professional relationship because of the experience that you brought to Field, especially during the time of the COVID issues that we had, and how you were able to get us to get up to speed on virtual teaching pretty quick. So our professional relationship has grown significantly since then. And now you are our dean for the math department, and you provide really good feedback to us in terms of what we need to work on, how things are going, what we're doing well with. So our professional relationship has been a very good mutual professional relationship.
Thank you. Would you mind describing my personality in 3 words or less?
Ooh, 3 words or less. Tenacious, um, persistent. I think those two are a pretty good description of who you are.
Thank you. Um, Playing off of those words, tenacious and persistent, how do those traits benefit me in your view for a leadership role?
Um, because you're very focused. You know what your end goal is, and you know how to communicate what your expectations are. And by being persistent and tenacious, that energy flows from you to those who you are working with.
Well, thank you. I wanted to also think about these traits and think about how could I maybe have to pause or take a moment to reflect on how those traits may be perceived by others and how I may have to alter my leadership approach to certain individuals.
Um, One thing is just recognizing the people that you are working with.
Mhm.
Sometimes people respond to those attributes in a different way, and you being mindful of uh, how they are responding would help you better communicate what those expectations are. For instance, someone like me, you know, you can be very straightforward, and I'm very understanding and will get to work. Whereas someone else may need a little bit more coaching
Mhm.
around or just empathy around how to get things done. So those attributes that you have can be adjusted. It's just a matter of you recognizing how someone is actually reacting to it.
Thank you. I definitely agree with you on that. I definitely need to be a little more mindful in certain instances on how I'm being perceived in the message that's coming across. You mentioned earlier my feedback, how I've been able to give some constructive feedback to you and the math team. Can you speak to communication glows and grows in terms of the feedback I've provided and how I could enhance that or what's been beneficial for you and your math team?
What's been beneficial for me is the approach in which you give or deliver the feedback. It's a positive aspect that you have when you're giving the feedback. It's like you're uplifting us and letting us know, hey, this is a great thing that you're doing, and can we add something else to it, or would you mind considering a different approach or enhancing your approach by whatever the feedback is that you give us. So I think the fact that you give it your feedback in a positive light helps people receive it much better.
Didn't realize I did that, but I'm glad to
Yes.
hear
Well,
it.
I will tell you this too, though. When you're smiling, that smile is kind of an infectious smile, and it gets people more relaxed when they're listening to your feedback.
Yeah, I got to work on that. Sometimes the smile ain't there. um, this next one kind of falls a little close to home, so I wanted to get your take on it. When Miss Shepherd was with us, she used to be very like just give it to me
Blunt.
straight, blunt,
Yeah.
yeah, straightforward. And one of the first couple weeks of school, she came into my office and she's like, "Listen, you have great potential, but we got to find the balance because you're a little bit too much like Dr. Ramos in certain instances with the way your mind thinks and your tenacity." So, what is your take on that, and how would you help me kind of navigate that and find that balance between my type A personality, my structure, and ensuring that I keep relationships on the forefront because that is important to me. And I want to make sure I am mindful. And I did respect her for always calling me out on that.
Well, I was going to say one thing about that, which is yes, you're definitely a type A personality. Um, and yes, Dr. Ramos is like that too. And I've shared that with him. But one of the things that I think is important for a leader, and I don't know if I've shared this with you or not, um, but the passion that you have for your job and data and kids, that's the same amount of passion that you should also show people who you work with or your staff. Okay, because when they see that you have that same amount of passion that you have for data and kids, if you have it for them, they are more understanding. They feel like you're including them. And that's a significant way to enhance and build relationships with those who work with you and for you.
Mhm. So how do I find that balance?
How do you find that balance?
How like because I mean you're not as type A as me. You're
Oh
a little
no,
more go with
not
the
I'm
yeah.
nowhere near type A. So this comes to the part where you have to do what you're saying is how do I put a pause on some of this, right?
Mhm,
Sometimes you have to take a step back and look at, well, how am I being perceived?
mhm.
And is that the way I want people to perceive me? And then the other thing is what you want to see in others, you have to demonstrate yourself.
I agree. I definitely think it's something I need to. I think the take a step back part sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm full throttle, full force ahead, and
Well,
I do need to.
you know the old cliche, you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
So that's why, yeah, sometimes we do need to just take a step back and
Mhm.
reflect a little bit more.
Well, this is helping me do that. So thank you. Because next semester, hopefully, I'll be able to approach some things a little differently. I did want to talk a little bit. So I've worked with you in the math department on PLCs, feedback, the PLC cycle, professional development. How have my communication skills aided in those avenues? And then what are some maybe pointers or areas that I could still continue to grow within the professional development, PLC cycle, those avenues that we've talked about?
Okay, let me start off with some grows first, and maybe it's just one. But I think because of the role that you're in and because of the things that have been happening uh, at our school, you've been put under, or at least you're having to do quite a bit of things,
Hmm.
and you're starting several initiatives. And sometimes we may need to just step back and say, you know what, let's make sure we're doing just a couple of things right instead of trying to implement several initiatives all at once.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, if we can just focus on just a couple of things and make sure we get those done and we're doing those to the satisfaction or to the expectation that you're wanting, then I think we'll grow more as a department, knowing that we're just focusing on just a few initiatives instead of several all at once. So that's a grow.
Hmm.
Glows is the continuous positive feedback and sharing um, how we're doing as a math team, um, letting us know or giving us shout outs when we do well and posting it and sending it out to more people. Teachers like to hear that
Hmm.
they are being appreciated. And by you communicating those things during PLCs, during emails, that lets people know that you do recognize the effort that they've been putting in.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I still want to give y'all more shout outs. And like, because y'all are killing it at the math department, even within, taking on BTC, that's a monster within itself. I know you know that firsthand. But everybody's been on board, engaging, attempting to step outside their comfort zone, right? Like it's not going to be perfect. We're learning. But those are the biggest steps to kind of perfecting that craft is taking that action. So something I'm still mindful of, but I would definitely agree that we have quite a few initiatives going on right now at the school. What would be one initiative that you would like to focus on, and maybe one initiative that you would like to see come off your plate a little bit?
To focus on probably getting better, at least personally for me, getting better at doing BTC
Okay.
is one thing that I think that I could focus on and get a little bit better with. As a math department, I know that BTC is a challenge.
Mhm.
And initially, when we talked about it, we were saying as a team, maybe if we could just do it once a week just to get used to it, that would probably get us more comfortable doing it. However, the direction was, well, you should try it 2 to 3 times a week potentially. And so that probably um, didn't go over as well and has
Mhm.
made it a little bit more challenging. Trying to make sure we're getting that done as many times as we're been instructed to. So that's
Mhm.
been a significant challenge for the math team. Um, so I think for the math team in general, if we could get to, um, I guess, an agreement back to what we felt more comfortable with instead of asking for the opinion of us, and then you hear it, but we have to do something different. Okay.
Mhm.
If there's going to be a mandate, then just say it's a mandate and not say or ask what our opinions or what our thoughts are if we already know that there's going to be a mandate anyway. Okay.
Right.
When someone is asked, what are their thoughts, and then it doesn't seem as if that's being heard, then there's a little pushback from the team.
Right. I can definitely see that.
Yeah. Okay.
Noted.
Um,
I don't know how much change I
oh,
can pull and have leverage there, but I do
but here's
understand
the
that
here's the
perception.
thing about that though. Um, it's not necessarily making the change, but letting people understand and know that uh, you do understand the impact that it's having. You do
Mhm.
understand that it's tough, but that you're going to be with us and give us the support that we need. I think that's the main message a leader should let his team know. It's not necessarily whether or not they even have a choice in the
Mhm.
change, but it's letting them know that you're going to be there with
We're
them
here.
during the change. And I think, at least you've told me, you are our biggest advocate, and everybody needs to know that you are our biggest advocate.
Mhm. Noted. I
Okay.
will I will think on this and figure out how I can approach this next semester to ensure everybody can feel that I'm their advocate and I'm there to support them, even if I cannot affect change, because it comes from the top down, but that I'm fighting for you
Yes.
there on the outside. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Last question, and this is where you get to kind of help me guide where I'm going. But what can I continue to work on? Like, if you had to pick one action item in order to enhance my communication skills, both in this position and in the future to become a better leader.
Um, my biggest thing, I think, is communicating initiatives and just being a little bit more focused on a strategic initiative instead of multiple initiatives. Because I think if you can just get us to uh, do good on one or two things initially, then people will be more receptive to doing additional things once we see that we've accomplished something. Because when there are so many initiatives being asked, then sometimes people feel they're not getting anything accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And people need a sense of accomplishment. And by being a leader, if you can help them get those small wins,
Mm-hmm.
then there's going to be a better and more positive attitude within the team.
I didn't want to, hearing that, I had an idea before we left for break, and I talked to Miss Weeze about it a little bit. But one of the things that came back across all math was the anchor charts and limited space and things like that. My thought was to have like a day, 15, 20 minutes in PLC where we designate anchor chart, like
Creation.
creation, collaboration, like sketching the exemplar, whatever, if we're going to build it with the students. What is your take? So that way, when y'all go into class, you're not creating it, figuring it out after school. Like we have some intentionality within that PLC time to hopefully
Doing it
guide.
during PLC is a good idea also. What I was thinking around that issue was kind of like what Monica was saying Miss Shepherd did when
Mm-hmm.
she was at Long, uh, having multiple anchor charts and just
Mm-hmm.
having them ready to display.
Mm-hmm.
And she had them hanging on hangers or something like that. But what I was
Yes, the
thinking,
two clippy hangers, so that way, like you just unclip, pull the anchor chart off.
yeah. And so what I was thinking was create them for myself, laminate them,
Mm-hmm.
and that way they will stay, you know, fairly
Good.
in decent shape. And then I would have them on a back wall or something where I could just get them out uh, and then paste them on the whiteboards with magnets or whatever so that they would be available. So I've been thinking about that as well, but that was just one of the things that
Mm-hmm.
I had kind of told Shin and Rumbo that I would probably do because I do know that having the anchor charts visible um, throughout the year is better for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
My concern was that, I had seventh and eighth grade, and so my space would definitely be limited because of the fact that I've got two different grades.
When we get back in, I'm not going to take any more of your holiday time, but when we get back in, let's collaborate on what that looks like. We do have some of those rings, so we can get like the hooks that just hook on your wall, and you could literally flip it like in like a
Mm-hmm.
picture, so it's a little easier for you as well. Just initial thoughts that might work, and we can definitely see what we can get if we have a couple on your wall that might display like four, and you can still build them out with the kids like you normally do. But then that exemplar is the one that's laminated that you have that would display
Mm-hmm.
constantly. So I do think we can find a solution to help y'all. But those BTC boards do take up quite a bit of space. So y'all are at a disadvantage. So we do got to be a little creative in that.
Yeah, and that's why what I've done when our kids were testing was recreate the anchor charts on the BTC
Mm-hmm.
boards
Right.
so that they would have them during that time. But if they were on um, an actual anchor chart, it'd probably be easier to just get them up a lot faster than instead of having to redraw them every time.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of time you're spending.
Yes.
And time
Yes.
is precious and limited as a teacher. So,
Yes.
okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Thrasher, for your honest and open feedback. I will definitely consider and think on some of those glows and grows so I can continue to enhance it. One being how I can support y'all through kind of narrowing the initiative focus, or at least supporting you guys within that time frame that we have, even if I can't affect change, and making sure that everybody on the team knows I am y'all's biggest advocate and I am, you know, fighting for
Yes.
y'all, whether or not the words coming to my mouth are, being heard and taken into it. But I am here for
Well,
y'all.
well, and on that note though, is you communicate that a lot with me,
Mhm.
and as long as you can do that with others the way you do it with me, uh, I think that will go a long way.
I appreciate
So
that.
build those relationships like you've built with me with the rest of the team. And yes, that takes some time,
Mhm.
um, but that's going to be the biggest benefit that you will get is by building those relationships.
I hear you. We got to
Alrighty.
put in that effort. Right. Well,
You can do it.
I appreciate that. All right. Well, I will let you get back to your break, if you will. I know you
Oh
have
yeah.
a busy day ahead of you, but thank you for taking the time to help me kind of reflect on my communication skills and how I can both continue to work on them and enhance them to be a better effective leader both now in my current role and my future role. So I really appreciate your time.
Welcome anytime. I'm always here for you.
I appreciate you. Have a great day, Mr. Thatcher.
You too. Tell everybody we said hello.
I will.
All
Bye.
righty. Bye.